The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
This is Talkin Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
C.D. Lamb, touchdown.
Parsons has sacked it. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
And now your hosts, Isaiah Stanback, Patrik Walker, Josh Rodriguez, and Kyle Youmans.
It's a free agency edition of Talkin Cowboys presented by Black Rifle Coffee Company, live from the Star in Frisco, Texas, in the SWBC studios. Welcome in, everybody. We've got Patrik Walker Josh Rodriguez.
Hello.
With Chris Beam in the back. I'm Kyle Youmans. Glad you're with us. Plenty to get to. Let's not waste any time. Free agency is upon us. The legal tampering period is when, Patrik?
Yesterday.
It is yesterday, so let's talk about it. It feels like every time that we record this show, every week,
right on the dot,
when we get off the air here, literally last week, we got off the air talking about Osa Odighizuwa. We were talking about the return from Osa, what that would look like.
Oh my gosh, that was a week ago.
It was a week ago.
Wow.
It was within 10 minutes of the end of our show, and it never ceases to fail, ever.
Nope.
But it was re-signed, or it was an OSA deal that was reached. It was done. It was like the shelf life of our show. Everybody's probably listening to it on their way home from work. They're like, these idiots don't know what they're talking about. They didn't know OSA already re-signed. No, we didn't at the time, but he did get it done, and he's back. Now, since it was a week ago, there's been a couple other things that have happened since then, too.
Just free agency starting yesterday.
All right. And to be fair to us, like you said, we joked about it after the show. Osa hadn't officially signed yet. No. They agreed while we were talking, and then he signed because I was standing right there making sure he put that pen to paper so there was not a...
Jeez.
Yeah, it was like in the room.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's make sure. That was high priority stuff. I had to make sure. I had to put eyes on it. All right. So, like you said, Kyle, a few things have taken place. So let's just run down the list, and then we'll make it a free-for-all. Let's put all the opinions out there because, damn it, we got opinions.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Kyle was letting them fly before we went hot. I was like, hold on, save the smoke.
Save it for the show.
All right, so I got three categories: stay, got, and go. Okay. Stay. Osa Odighizuwa signs a contract extension, the highest priority in-house free agent, 4 years, $80 million maximum value, $52 million in guaranteed money. He is here to stay. Marquise Bell, they're going to forego that tender on him as a restricted free agent. 3 years at $12 million max, so averaging $4 million per year for those 3 years. Marquise Bell, he's still recovering from that shoulder injury, but key special teams player and obviously has some potential as a starter at safety. Trent Sieg, long snapper, 3 years at $4.45 million. Hefty coin for a long snapper. Tells you how good Trent Sieg has been since he joined the Cowboys 2-3 seasons ago.
Does it also indicate maybe the punter situation sticking around, possibly? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to try to keep anger around. I don't see a situation wherein, obviously, anything's possible, but it feels like that's a foregone conclusion that marriage will continue.
You can't break up the band at this point.
And especially when you got Brandon Aubrey.
Butter and Banger.
Yeah, Butter, Banger, and
the American
Trent.
Snapper.
Yeah, because Aubrey has been banging the table to keep that unit together.
I saw it yesterday at some point. Brandon Laurie on Twitter, who does a good job of covering some Cowboy stuff, and he's one of the content creators out there. I like
one of
very
his
good
tweets
dude.
yesterday.
Very good
stuff.
dude. He put out a tweet and he was like, "Yeah, nice." He's like the second best social media presence outside of Josh Butler is back on the team next year, and everybody was like liking it and they were having fun with it. But Trent said he replied to it and he goes, "What does Josh have on me?" It's like 4 million followers on TikTok or whatever he has. I don't think he has 4 million, but he has a couple mil, I think, on TikTok.
He's just baiting people.
His dogs. He's got a great story on the background. We've talked about it before on this show. But Trent was like, "What's he got on me?"
He's good people.
Yeah, it's good to have those guys back.
Absolutely. And what's crazy, not crazy, but what's admirable also is when you talk about a Cowboys organization that moved on from LP Ledesir. I love saying his name, Ledesir, the legendary long snapper. Obviously, a lot of Cowboys fans were like, "What are you doing?" Especially how that all went down. Trent Sieg comes in and just effortlessly picks it up and runs with it.
And the other part about it, too, is without John Fossil,
Yeah.
You had some question marks when John Fossil took the job with Tennessee this offseason. You said, okay, is this the end of what has been a golden era of special teams for the Cowboys? Not necessarily. You've got Brandon, of course, for a little bit of time. Brandon Aubrey's back next year. Now you get Trent Sig. You're planning on re-signing Anger. You sign
CJ Goodwin.
CJ Goodwin.
Goodwin's the next on the list. CJ Goodwin is back on another 1-year deal at veteran minimum. CJ is chugging along, and we love it. So
He had
like
a
you said,
great year.
He did.
A silently great year, which is kind of what you expect out of
Spoke with CJ Goodwin throughout the process. Spoke with him after he agreed to terms, and again after he signed the deal. And he glows like a 23-year-old, man. Like he's as excited right now in his early 30s as he was at 23. So you love to see that. Now let's talk about the exclusive rights free agents. Brock Hoffman, Wanye Thomas, Tyrus Wheat, all locked down, all locked in.
Lock them up.
Lock them up. All good stuff, all on minimum deals, so to be around 1.01. So let's just say roughly $1 million per for each of them. But Brock Hoffman, which is either your potential starter at center or your potential starter at right guard, he is still in the building. Wanye Thomas, we already know what he can do for special teams. We know what he can do for the defensive standpoint. Much like Marquise Bell, he has potential to be a future starter at the safety position.
We know what he can do in the preseason, which is almost get me fired and kicked out of the press box.
What is that?
Stories.
I yelled during Wanye Thomas's first interception in the preseason.
You know you can't have outbursts.
And you can have an outburst in the
And Tyrus Wheat, another.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. I got the eyes from Derek at one point.
You do it.
Yes.
They came.
Oh,
About the college.
Was that in SoFi or was that here?
that was here.
It was here.
It was here.
God.
And I got the glaring eyes from Derek, and I was like, "Oh, I messed up."
They're going to give him the
hilarious.
Apollo hook. Like you're going to see it come out of the curtain. Just Tyrus Wheat, key special teamer as well. Talk about keeping special teams together. And a nice defensive rotational guy on a break glass in case of emergency type deal.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about who we lost, because I want to end on a good note.
Yeah.
Well, we lost Chuma Edoga. We'll start here. Lost Chuma Edoga to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Good luck, Chuma.
2 years at $7 million. And now it goes from there. We lost Chauncey Golston.
It's a step up.
It is a step up to the Giants. He's going to Big Blue. Boy, something about the NFC East teams, picking apart the Cowboys.
Keeping a close eye. I thought we were the worst team in the division.
Funny how that works.
I mean, we're not, but
We're not. But
It's funny how that works. Everybody wants your talent, but
if it was left up to
supposedly
public
you-
opinion, we would.
that's true.
Supposedly you suck, but your rivals want all your talent. Chauncey Golston to Big Blue, 3 years at $19.5
I think Chauncey's going to have a good career.
Well, I think they're going to full-time him at defensive end.
They're going to push him back to end, which was his normal position. He was a third-round pick as an edge out of Iowa. They tried to pigeonhole him a little bit. I was the one that wrote the story on how they moved it to defensive tackle, and it just didn't work the way that they anticipated.
And what was his contract? 20?
19.5, so yeah, roughly 20. They tried to Tyrone Crawford him to much less success.
Over 2 years or 3?
3 at 19.5.
Yeah, I probably would have hit that number. I would have done that to keep him around, just as a rotational guy.
Well, you know what?
It's tough.
I'll put an asterisk on that, because I'll say this to that. What if they were willing to match that number or come close to it, but from a Chauncey Golston standpoint, he was like, how are you going to play me?
Yeah.
If you're going to keep me with this
Rotational.
whole Tyrone Crawford thing, then I'm out, because I can get this money somewhere else as a full-time
and
defensive
be an edge rusher.
Right. So I get the
it on
feeling
his end,
that's
for
where that conversation went.
I think it's a better fit. Their defensive front is not nearly as deep, even with all the problems and holes that we're talking about. They don't have a Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
They didn't have a DeMarcus Lawrence. They don't have Sam Williams. They don't have a couple of these other guys that were waiting to get healthy along the way, Marshawn Nealon being another one.
But you put him next to a Dexter Lawrence?
Yeah. They're going to let him eat. He'll be good there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And now the biggest loss.
No,
Lewis.
thank you guys for listening. Appreciate it.
Jourdan
We'll see ya.
Lewis
I don't want to talk
leaves
about
to the Jacksonville Jaguars. 3 years.
Highest paid nickel in NFL history
Highest
for the
paid
span
nickel.
of like 7 hours.
And I love that for Jourdan. I cannot stress it.
Of course.
This is something that he deserves. He came in, look at his journey. He came in, he was pegged as undersized by, Chris Richard and Rob Marinelli at the time. And all he did was just grind through it and just push through it. Absolutely. And he ended up becoming a starter, and he became the resident ball hawk before Trevon Diggs and Deron Bland came into the picture. He's always been that culture guy. He's always been that dog. Talk about the rookie training camp, him versus Dez Bryant. You knew then. You knew then that Jourdan Lewis was going to be a problem. He's yapping at peak Dez Bryant.
Yep.
As a rookie. Desmond. I'll never forget the Desmond. So Jourdan Lewis, he leaves and he gets his bag, rightfully so. But it creates a massive void at the cornerback position. We'll get into that here shortly. As far as the gets, who do we get? Javonte Thomas from the Broncos, running back. Young 25, 26-year-old guy, 1-year deal at $3.5 million. Did
you say Thomas? I think
Williams,
you combined.
Javonte Williams.
I think you combined two of our signings in one name.
Javonte
Williams.
I was driving all night. 5 a.m. driving all night. All right, Javonte Williams.
You were driving all night?
Yeah, I drove in from North Carolina.
Oh.
1 year at $3.5 million. And we'll talk about what all of this means, respectively. We're just going down the list right now.
Yeah.
Robert Jones, offensive lineman from the Dolphins, 1 year, $4.75 million. Solomon Thomas. Defensive lineman, most recently played for the Jets under Aaron Whitecotton, who is now the defensive line coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Solomon Thomas, also ex-first-round pick of the San Francisco 49ers. I was very high on Thomas entering that draft that year. 2 years at $8 million for Solomon Thomas. Get him tagged up with Oso Digizua. They play similar roles. We'll talk about that as well. So as far as who is acquired right now, biggest name is going to be Solomon Thomas, and I approve of that greatly. So that's who has chosen to stay. That's who we've lost, and that's who is incoming. And now I open the door.
The table for conversation. I think we got to start with the biggest name, and the most recent one is Solomon Thomas.
Confirmed a mere 20 minutes ago, before we started this.
So luckily,
things are moving.
Look, we got it beforehand, and we might have another name by the end of the show.
Who knows?
We'll see what ends up happening. Of course, Thomas out of college was just straight up a dude. Went to San Francisco, never really hit the ground running with San Francisco, was shipped off to Las Vegas, and then ended up with the Jets the last 3 seasons. Last year, finished with 22 total pressures on 262 pass rushing snaps, had 17 tackles, 4 sacks. And remember, this is a defensive tackle, not an edge rusher. Still kind of an athletic 3-tech, former top 5 pick. I think when you're looking at Solomon Thomas, everybody's going to look at the name, and I've seen the Twitter sphere, I've seen the comment sections, and everybody looking at this and saying, why aren't we going and getting this guy or that guy or another guy? Not every signing can be a $15 million name. Solomon Thomas is as close to a good rotational depth piece that has some upside talent, and as a veteran in this league at 6'2", 255 pounds, that you can rely on to kind of mix and match with Osa Digizua, as Patrick mentioned a moment ago.
And you have some familiarity there, too, with Aaron Whitecotton, who's our defensive line coach now, who obviously played under him last year with the New York Jets, the last 2 years. I'm a little concerned, just looking pro football focus-wise. I haven't watched a lot of tape on Solomon Thomas, but the overall run defensive grade. Now, that's been obviously our Achilles heel on defense for the last few years, decades, it feels like. But pass rush grade, he gets a 61.2, which is above average. I'm liking, as far as what you're saying, he looks the part. Dude looks massive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that he's also from Coppell, which that's intriguing, too. Welcome home, right? But I'm a little concerned as far as run defense-wise, but for the price that you're getting, I completely understand it, and I like the signing here. And you can no longer say the Cowboys are not doing anything in free agency this year compared to last year. Come on, guys. What are we talking about?
I think when you talk about the fit of Solomon Thomas, you make a great point. There is a question mark around his run defense. However, look at him as an Osa backup. Okay, so because we all know Oso Digizua, like the defensive linemen, they're not going to play 100% of the snaps. What you're trying to prevent is a massive fall off from when Osa leaves the game for rest or whatever the sub package might be. If you put a guy like Solomon Thomas in there, then you know that although it might not be the exact same level of what Osa will give you, you know that you're going to get a guy who can penetrate the backfield just like
he's
Osa.
Chauncey Golson's replacement. Golston's replacement.
He's a replacement for Chauncey Golston, but I would argue that he's a step up. He is an upgrade over
You think
Chauncey.
so?
I believe he's an upgrade over Chauncey.
Today and now,
I don't
yes.
know if I could
believe
sit here and say that.
I believe the Jets version of Solomon Thomas with Aaron Whitecotton is an upgrade over Chauncey Golston. I believe the San Francisco 49ers version of him would not necessarily be viewed that way. I like what Aaron Whitecotton was able to get.
He has 10 sacks over the last 2 years.
There you go. 5 sacks
Thomas
in 2023, 3.5 sacks in 2024. So he can get after the quarterback. 12 quarterback hits collectively over the last 2 seasons. So he can get back there. He's also going to be available for you. 16 games available last season. 17,
Can I stop you just for
go
1 second? Because I'm looking at this comment section. We're not hyping up Solomon Thomas. That's not the point.
They started that already?
They're starting why are we spending money on these backup players? You got to build a roster. And he's the biggest name so far because he's a former top 5 pick. That's what we're talking about here. So I'm looking at the comment section. He says he's a bench player. Yes. He's a rotational defensive tackle. They signed him for money.
Do you need good bench players too?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They signed him for money that is equal to what a rotational defensive tackle should make in the National Football League. We're not saying that he's going to be an incredible player and that he's a game changer and whatever it may be. They haven't made that signing yet. Let's make that be completely clear here. Out of the names that we just read off and the guys that they're bringing back, Osa Odighizuwa is the biggest impact player that they've retained.
100%.
But as I'm looking at this comment section, I'm not saying that Solomon Thomas is the difference maker of the NFL and the difference maker for how the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East and make a run to an NFC title game for the first time since 1996. Stop it. They got to put players on the roster. You got to build a roster here, guys. Plain and simple.
Listen.
That's how
I like
football
what Chris
works.
Rendon says. Bodies. We need bodies.
Bodies. Because at a certain point, yes, we all agree we would like the Cowboys.
They haven't made the splash signing or the splash trade yet. That's
however,
plain and simple.
You still also have to build your bench. Okay, you have to build your bench. So yes, we can talk about how greatly we approve of the Solomon Thomas signing as a backup. So stop the corny. Almost you can get me.
What was
fired.
Dante Fowler? Was he kind of a rotational guy?
Yeah, he was a rotational guy.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is
All right, and he kind of worked out, right?
Listen, let me tell you. Look at 2024, for example. You're ravaged by injuries, right? And you keep going deeper and deeper into the depth chart. You need talented guys. And like I said, when you look at what Solomon Thomas brings to the table, they're not trying to make him a starter, ideally. They want him to be rotational behind Osa Odighizuwa. And then in certain packages, maybe they'll play side by side, depending if it's like 3rd and long or something like that. But he's more than capable. He's proven it, and he's reuniting with a guy in Whitecotton who's gotten the most out of him thus far in his career.
Where he's played his best.
With the New York Jets. This is a really good pickup for the Cowboys. We're not saying he's a Hall of Famer. Relax. It's okay to hear that we like something without taking it and running all the way down the street with it. Oh, they're trying to put a gold jacket on it. We want to see more action, too.
Yeah.
So just calm down. Just relax.
And that's my point is you're right. The track record hasn't been there. And we've talked about this on this show multiple times before. And we're not going to back up the fact that if Solomon Thomas is the biggest name that you're signing this offseason, then that's a failure. Plain and simple. That's a failure of an offseason. But right now, in the moment, when we're literally on day 2, we haven't even been 48 hours into this thing of the legal tampering period, then we're able to talk about it and say, hey, that's a decent signing. That's something that is good for the value and it's good for your defense.
No, Kyle, you have to say everything is bad.
It's not everything is the beginning or the end of something special. That's not the plain and simple point.
Free agency is this weird microcosm of, and I think Nick Harris put it really well yesterday, friend of the show, Nick Harris. He said, and this is something that I always think of when it comes to free agency, but it's like that day one, you're often paying top tier money for 2nd tier players.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game. The Cowboys have not spent over $6 million on a free agent since Greg Hardy.
Yep.
Right.
So my thing is here, what are the Cowboys doing strategically this year compared to last year?
Let me put it this way, and I'll qualify it.
It's night and day,
To
guys.
Kyle's point, we are sitting here and we're talking about how much we really love the Solomon Thomas pick for what it is.
For what it is.
For what it is.
What it is.
But we don't, and I'm going to speak for these guys, and I know they're going to agree, we don't have the same energy about a Javonte Williams and a Robert Jones. two guys on a one-year deal
Yeah,
who will
different.
have to fight their way through training camp to maintain a roster spot. We're not sitting here saying Javonte Williams is going to preclude you from taking Ashton Jeanty if he's available at 12, or from getting
He's a
Hampton out
body.
of North Carolina.
And he's 24 years old.
Right,
I like
so-
the youth. I like the upside.
Like the youth, there's some things to like there, but we're not going to speak of him in the same way we're speaking about Solomon Thomas. So qualify each thing that we're saying and each thing that we're talking about. And
People just want to listen, and they just want to complain, and they just want to
It's
do all
all
the
right.
I get it.
different things.
But I like
get
what Chris Harris says. Don't waste our time arguing with Chad. Let's supplement it with some chat.
so
and
Javonte
do our
Williams.
thing.
Let's say what to Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams, again, I know for a fact it doesn't preclude them from using a premium pick at running back.
Yeah.
But I do get the feeling that signing precludes them from keeping Rico Dowdle.
I
could
don't know
be
if
wrong,
I
but
don't know if I agree, and I want to hit that on the other side of the break.
What's your counterpoint?
I want to hit that on the other side of the break. I don't know if I agree there because I like the upside of Javonte Williams, but I don't think Rico Dowdle's out of the question yet. Right after this, more Talking Cowboys after the break. If you're looking for fresh American roasted coffee that gives back, you need to head to your local grocery store and pick up a bag of Black Rifle coffee. That's right, America's coffee is now available in the coffee aisle of a grocery store near you. Black Rifle Coffee Company is veteran-founded with a mission to give back to those brave men and women who have served our nation. Every bag, box, or can you purchase helps support that mission. Head to your local grocery store and roast yourself some Black Rifle coffee today.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, this portion of the show is brought to you by Quaker Oats, the official oatmeal sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Quaker Oats, trusted since 1877.
Buy your Quaker Oats using the Quaker code in the left-hand corner, baby.
Sick.
Let's go.
Oats from the internet.
So sick.
As God intended.
I'm glad you're with us.
That is how God intended you.
It's exactly right. Here on Talking Cowboys, glad you're with us. Free agency edition. I know the tensions are high right now, but let me just remind you. Last year, there was a statement that kind of rung amongst Cowboys Nation because people believed Jerry Jones and what he was saying at the time. And that statement was
All in.
they believed it, right? What happened? Were they all in last year?
All out.
They were not. They were not. So why are people believing it whenever he goes up and speaks to the media on Wednesday and he says, yeah, we're not really looking at free agents?
What if he
Why do you believe it now?
Yeah.
Why do you believe that? Now.
They're selectively aggressive with what they believe.
It's gamesmanship. And if they aren't aggressive there, I mean, that's part of it. I mean, that's just kind of been their track record. And we're talking about it, but I'm at least going to sit here and watch this thing unfold as opposed to assume what's going to happen.
Thank you. Let it play
And that's
out.
we're talking about what is playing out currently.
Let it play out.
And then
Everyone who
we'll hit
follows
it from
me on
there.
Twitter knows that's my main thing. Let it play out.
Yeah.
Stop with the knee jerks and just let it play out and then assess it in hindsight and say this is what should have been done. But you don't know what's going to be done or not done.
It's like people that give grades after the draft is over, and they're like, "Yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win the Super Bowl because they had all these great names that fell to them in the draft, and then where is Jacksonville again?
It just happens.
Yeah.
And this is the same Jerry Jones who said that couple weeks ago at the NFL Combine. He said that well, not the Combine. He didn't speak at the Combine, but shortly after the Combine.
Famously didn't speak at the Combine.
Shortly after the Combine, he said that the Cowboys weren't looking to use free agency to fill holes. Solomon Thomas fills one, so. And so it might go from there. My point being is Kyle's point.
Yeah.
Just let it play out and see what happens, and stop always biting the carrot that Jerry intentionally puts out there for you to bite.
Yeah. The sound bites are sound bites for that exact reason.
There you go.
The other thing
Makes
about
headlines
it that hasn't been talked about enough is this is a really mid free agent class.
Yeah, it's not great.
This is not a great free agent class. You don't have the names like Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry at the top and some of those other names like they had last year. This is a mid free agent
Now, I will say this. I will counter that by saying it was a mid free agent class until teams started to release premium names ahead of legal tampering.
You're talking about
so now Cowboys fans are going to feel me on this.
He's a trade possibility.
I wanted a guy like Jonathan Allen, for example. Hargrave was out there.
Didn't they both go to the Vikings?
They did. Vikings put in some work.
It's tough.
Drake Greenlaw, he was a name that the Cowboys were interested in. Connection to Nick Sorensen there. I said keep an eye on Drake Greenlaw. Cowboys did have interest. They reached out. They lost that battle.
My heart fluttered a little bit with that one.
Right. So I say all of that to say there was an influx of big names that were released prior to legal tampering, and though that list of big names, that wasn't mid.
You're right.
That was not mid.
But the original free agent
list, it was like,
yeah.
But then,
I mean, right now, according to
Broncos, by the way, Drake Greenlaw.
Got it. Greg Rosenthal's like top 101 free agents that we read through last week on the show. The best available name right now is Amari Cooper.
So now we're back to mid.
It's mid.
Now we're back to mid.
Yeah.
So Cowboys, I will say, and I agree with Cowboys fans here, they did have their shot. You had your chance to take a shot at Jonathan Allen, Hargrave, Dre Greenlaw, which was high on my list. Some of these other names, Charvarius Ward. Now, you
former Cowboy.
Debate if you wanted to pay that money or not.
We talked about that last week.
Right. But
he got a bag, though.
He did get a bag.
What did he get? What did Ward?
I don't have it in my.
I'll look at it. I'll get it. All right.
It was a whole bag. Proud of Charvarius. But so yeah, for the names that were influxing, and there's another name that's expected to come free here soon, if reports are true. And I say if reports are true to cover ourselves from tampering rules.
Yep.
If reports are true, and if the Los Angeles Rams opt to release Cooper Kupp, that's another premium name that will hit the market. And guess what? The Cowboys still need a wide receiver too. So put in the call. Kick some tires on Cooper Kupp.
You don't have 3 first-round picks. You just have the one for now.
And that would be a perfect example of if you go and get a guy like Cooper Kupp, now it really frees you up
to do
whatever you want.
That sounds like filling holes, no C.
Hey, do it.
$35 million, $20 million guaranteed over 3 years for Ward. That is a bag.
That is a whole bag. Yeah.
I don't think they would have been able to do that or wanted to do that. For Charvarius Ward.
You just know why that's frustrating.
Yeah.
Because he was in the building. Now, I thought about this, and I wrote this in an article in one of the open market series, butterfly effect. Because you have to wonder, because I think scientifically, you have to wonder if you keep Charvarius Ward, is Deron Bland here?
No.
Exactly. So you have to wonder. Pick and choose. But he was here, and that Parker guy, where's he now? So nonetheless, there's still some names that are going to come up right now because the premium names are all gone. I'm with Kyle. Now it gets back to it being a mid free agency, which then now you're trying to fill what you can fill before you get to the NFL draft. But again, if that Cooper Kupp guy comes free, absolutely go hard at that.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Going back to our conversation in the first segment when we were talking about running back and Javonte Williams.
Sucks. I disagree. He's had some health issues, but Kupp sucks.
Yeah, no.
Wasn't he?
Watch some film, guys.
Yeah, just a little
The Javonte Williams, Rico Dowdle conversation. I don't think Javonte Williams, his signing, I don't think it'll discourage Rico Dowdle from coming back. Now, I don't think Rico Dowdle will come back for outside reasons because There are a number of reasons why he wants to test the market. His value has never been this high, especially at a time where he's been a free agent.
Totally fair.
He established himself as a legitimate NFL running back this past year, going for 1,000 yards. There's some question marks, though, from the league. Question marks on if he wants to be in a 1-2 punch in a loaded backfield. There's nobody lining up to go grab Rico Dowdle as their featured back right now, especially when he only had the 2 touchdowns last year, and he had some red zone fumbling issues and a couple of things like that. I'm looking at Rico Dowdle as a maybe, but I would put it more so on the side of he's going to get some money and he's going to go somewhere, kind of like what Javonte Williams did from Denver. Same kind of thing. Williams had been with Denver for a good amount of time. Denver probably would have brought him back on less than $3.5 million. It's $3 million with 3.5 as incentives is what Dallas signed him to this year. Denver would have probably tried to bring him back on less than that, but he's going to try it somewhere else. Dallas needs a guy to fill some roles, and now you've got somebody other than Deuce Vaughn in your backfield that can tote the rock and have some production.
For sure. At least with Rico, if it is a situational thing, and I don't know, I'm just speculating. If it is a situational thing where he wants to be the lead back, I don't know that there is an NFL team that is willing to give him that. I don't know that he's built that over, the second half of last season to say, I'm the lead guy, this is it.
Yeah.
I think his best bet is going to be a 1-2 punch. To me, that's less hits that he has to take. That's more opportunities for him to have spurts where he goes out there and does things. But I don't know, man. Maybe the writing is on the wall here. You probably expect the Cowboys to draft a really young, obviously, rookie in the NFL draft. So I don't know. I don't know that the writing is on the wall here for him necessarily.
Yeah.
But I think getting Javonte Williams says to him, most likely, the leverage isn't necessarily on his side anymore. We don't need a Rico. It would be nice to have him in the rotation, absolutely, but writing's on the wall, baby.
I think the timing of signing Javonte Williams is telling. When you look at, the Cowboys last year and the year prior, the way they attacked the running back position in free agency was they kind of waited. Right, they waited until after the draft, saw where all the chips fell, then they saw who was still available, and then they kind of played it from there as far as throwing bodies at the position. Okay, the fact that instead of signing Rico up front, in what is still the first wave of free agency as we have this conversation, you throw a 1 year, $3.5 million deal at a younger Javonte Williams. It makes me wonder because. What does that mean? Does that mean that you didn't think Javonte Williams would be available later on at 1 year, $3.5 million? It feels like he might have.
Probably would have.
So if you're willing to do that, let's round up to $4 million for easy math. If you're willing to throw forward him, and let's say you were to bring back Rico, and Rico's projected value is 6, that's 10. I think now that takes you out of premium pick for a running back. But I don't think you are comfortable doing that if you're the Cowboys. I think you're really trying to find the future at the position. So, and I don't. For those that are saying, okay, well, because you brought up a good name, Ronald Jones, right?
Yeah.
Ronald Jones wasn't signed in
Jones
the first
and
wave.
Freeman.
Yeah, Royce Freeman, Ronald Jones, they weren't signed in the first wave.
Yeah.
So I think that when you look at it 1 year, $3.5 million, you're thinking, okay, well, maybe that keeps Rico in the conversation. Maybe it does, but something keeps telling me the timing of it. Like, why sign Javonte right now unless you're looking at Rico saying, hey, this is our plan. And
but on your point of premium pick being a running back, I don't know that that's the case anymore, especially after yesterday when you're now looking for healthy cornerbacks.
But define premium pick.
Premium pick in the first or second round for me.
Fair. So if let's say you don't get
there is depth there, obviously, at the running back position.
So let's
in the draft.
say you don't get an Ashton Genty in like the first round, but depending on how the chips fall, hypothetically speaking, you get like Omarion Hampton, second round. Okay, still a premium pick.
That's a
a damn good pick in the second round.
We're going with all North Carolina running backs.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I know Jesse Holly would just be thrilled about that, right? But I say that's the type of situation I feel would be more conducive. And this is we love what Rico brought to the table. We're big Rico fans here. But if you look at the plan going forward, and then you look at it from a Rico standpoint, his entire career has been playing behind guys, Zeke and Tony, for several years. And then when he got healthy, he was forced into the by committee approach. clearly frustrated by that. He finally breaks free of that. He gets his 1,000 yards, first undrafted player in Cowboys history to do so. This might be as much leverage on the open market as he ever sees. So you make a good point, Josh. I'm hard-pressed to figure out which team would, pay him what his asking price is.
Yeah.
I feel like the Rico deal, be it here or somewhere else, lands later this week in like the second wave of free agents.
Yeah. And I don't know who it is here. Zach Palmer says Rico and his agent may have overplayed their hand.
Maybe.
It's very
But
possible.
I can't blame him for testing the market either. Because this is the first time he's ever had a chance to test them.
Exactly.
Especially with this type of value. So
to Kyle's point, there is enough film on him now
see what's out
to
there.
warrant that for sure.
Yeah.
So maybe he did overplay his hand.
Now, there is a running back still available that's kind of a top name, J.K. Dobbins, who was a NFL Comeback Player of the Year finalist.
Check it out.
Would you still be interested in bringing in another free agent name at running back? Because I know in the past they really don't like spending more than $8 or $9 million
And that's why
in the backfield.
That's why I put that 10 out there, because they're not comfortable with it.
Exactly. So J.K. could be a guy. He's only 26. He's somebody that you could possibly bring in. Had a great year last year, kind of in a rebound from an Achilles tear.
Right.
So 26-year-old with some medical red flags in the past, but coming off of a great season, could be something to look at. I don't know if you're going and signing J.K. Dobbins, then I think you're taking running back off of the board for Ashton Jeanty, first off. And second off, maybe even in the second round of the NFL draft, because then you're going to address some of your other positions.
I'm in on J.K. Dobbins, as I said last week when we were breaking down the open market series. I'm in on J.K. Dobbins. Projected via Spotrac is $4 million, give or take. 4 plus that 3.5, 7.5. That doesn't take me out of the running for a premium pick, because what it does is it guarantees you, because you still need to make sure J.K. Dobbins is back to J.K. Dobbins after that injury.
See what the upside is for Williams.
It might, and I stress might, it might take me out of running for
a
first round pick.
Why do I hate patchworking our running back position?
Well, this is why.
Because we've done it. We've been doing it.
This is why I'm saying it
feel
shouldn't
sick when we're talking about this.
This is why I'm saying it shouldn't take you out the running.
Then I don't want to do any of that.
Dobbins,
I would rather just go grab a guy. I'd rather go get one of these top picks. I'm still watching the film.
You still need
these running backs.
But here's the thing.
Your insurance is Javonte Williams.
Okay, so here's a scenario.
That's your
Javonte
insurance.
Williams, J.K. Dobbins, fuse like Goku and Vegeta. $7 million dedicated to those two guys. And then you see how the draft falls. If it falls to a point where, let's say you walk away with Jeanty or Hampton or any one of these other
then I'm
guys,
cutting one of those guys.
Then you look at Javonte Williams or J.K. Dobbins. You let them go through minicamp.
Yeah.
See who is impressing. Yeah. And as you approach training camp, you make that decision then. But what I'm saying is don't box yourself out. Don't go and get J.K. Dobbins to add to in the scenario. Get J.K. Dobbins to add to Javonte Williams and say, oh, we're good. We're good. I'm not having to spend a premium pick on running back. No, you're not. No, you're not.
If we don't pick up a cornerback here in free agency, are you guys sort of panicked now?
Another one. Now
in the top 12?
Let's talk about the loss of Jourdan Lewis. That's
So you're right, because now you don't have Jourdan Lewis.
Right. You have 3 healthy cornerbacks on the roster currently.
You've got 3 healthy guys, and we saw what the health and how quickly that can fade very fast in the offseason or in the middle of the season as well. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm concerned about Trayvon Diggs long term.
Okay.
I am. I'm concerned about his injury long term.
And that's sort of been the writing on the wall for a minute.
Yeah, and I think Trayvon, I mean, when he is healthy, he's still a great player, and he's an impact guy. Jourdan, I'm not necessarily super worried about. I think that was just kind of a freak year, and he just re-aggravated it and then went back out there and was fine.
But we were never told that, dude.
Yeah. The thought process with moving forward at corner and saying, yeah, we're good because we've got all pros on both sides.
Not good.
And now you don't have a nickel that you can really count on.
The heart of your defense.
I think corner right now has skyrocketed toward the top of my list.
Which is what DT would have done if you didn't get Osa.
If you didn't get Osa Odigizua, you're right.
That's the situation at cornerback.
And they could still add a DT and I'd be fine.
Yeah.
If the Hargrave thing would have worked out, fine.
But where are you at
Jonathan Allen,
like you
fine.
said,
Where are you at cornerback, and are there enough free agents currently that
Right.
you would take a look at and not be as concerned in the first round in picking a cornerback? No?
Not as we have this conversation, no.
Stephon Gilmore, Christian Fulton are some of the names. Asante Samuel Jr. I would think about that one. He's only 25. He's only 25. I would look at Fulton. I mean, Fulton was decent. He had some good times and some bad times. And then you could bring back a 35-year-old Stephon Gilmore, which
still doesn't take you out of the draft.
no,
Yeah.
That
I don't think any of those guys would take you.
And
out
then
of
when you look
taking a pick.
inside the building, now you look at Trevon Diggs is likely going to miss some time to start the season, and now and rightfully said, I will agree that I need to see him back on the field and in prime form for an extended period of time before I can say, well, this knee thing. So with that being said, you lose him for some period of time in 2025. You lose Jourdan Lewis completely. Let's say Deron Bland remains healthy. Okay, great. Kalen Carson, he had a very up and down, more down than up rookie season, and he had the season-ending shoulder injury.
he never had a chance to create any momentum.
No.
Work his way back. Josh Butler suffered torn ACL late in the season. Is he going to be ready to start the season? And even if he is ready, will he pick up right where he left off and be that kind of unsuspecting breakout guy?
He was building to something, but he wasn't quite there yet.
Also, Israel Mukuamu, he's still a free agent right now. He's not inked to a deal. So is he returning? Is he not returning?
Is he?
Is he? Is he not? Air 5. Bang. If Mukuamu does return, then at least you know you have a more than solid rotational guy who can maybe pick up some duties as like big nickel, big slot. He did that against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady to great success in that wild.
Why do I
card
hate
matchup.
this too?
But I say all of that to say nothing I'm saying
Gives you
is
confidence.
going to make you feel comfortable.
Nope.
Even if you bring Izzy back, he's not giving you Jourdan Lewis numbers. Even if Kalen Carson gets back and hits the ground running, still a rookie, still has a curve to go, he's not going to give you Jourdan Lewis up front. Josh Butler, he's not going to give you Jourdan Lewis up front. You got to address the issue. You have a boundary issue with Trevon Diggs' injury, and you got a nickel issue. And you in-house, you don't have anybody to fill it. And as far as outside the building right now, with names like Charvarius gone and Byron Murphy gone, so forth and so on, you're kind of in dire straits.
And it's not like Duran is a shutdown either. Like he's a ball hawk for sure, but there were concerns for me as far as coverage
I
goes.
do think, to answer some of the questions in
Especially
the
that
draft,
Tampa game.
it wasn't the case before now, but it is now. I think now you have to entertain cornerback in the first round.
I think right now, as we sit
and have this conversation,
March 11th,
another week before we talk.
Year of our Lord 2025, as we sit in this very moment, I think if I had to place a bet on where the Cowboys would go in the first round at pick number 12, I think it would be corner. And the only thing that trails in possibility too is trading down.
So who do fans need to look out for now, cornerback wise?
Will Johnson is the first name that kind of comes to mind around there. In terms of free agent,
which would then take you out of the first round for a cornerback.
I mean, maybe.
Possibly.
If you give me Asante Samuel Jr., I would be comfortable foregoing.
I'm looking for a nickel or a boundary guy because, like I said, I'm a little concerned. But it
takes you out of that best player available pick that we've been talking about for months.
Will Johnson's up there. Jahdae Barron from Texas is up there. Let me pull up my draft sheets. The draft show isn't for another 20 minutes.
We need a break too. So.
Yeah, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to kind of wrap things up here on the free agency side of things. Maybe talk about some of the rumors that are out there too that the Cowboys could be interested in. And remember, it's all going to change by the time we're back on the air in like 12 minutes anyways. So we'll be back with more right after this.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Back to Talkin Cowboys.
Back here on Talking Cowboys, this segment is brought to you by Invisalign, the official smile of the Dallas Cowboys, with Patrik Walker Josh Rodriguez, Chris Beam in the back. I'm Kyle Youmans. Special thanks to all those that have been interacting on the Twitter side of things and then also on the YouTube comment section. Remember, we are live on YouTube. Subscribe, set the notifications so that way every time we go live, you get the update and you can kind of follow along. Yeah. Do the same thing on the Twitter. The X, I guess, is what it should be.
We're all civilized conversation happen in the YouTube channel.
Yeah, super. Yeah, everybody's
all civilized conversations are in YouTube.
Cowboys fans in shambles and players on this team. And
it's a heated discussion.
It's just like,
but it's
all looks
good.
Respectful.
It's respectful.
Stay respectful, or else we'll kick you out.
Trade Micah at this point, wasting his damn career.
Okay. Is that what it says?
Yeah. Stop it.
This needs to be a segment. Is just read the comments.
Yeah, read mean
like
comments.
Mean tweets.
It'll be like mean tweets, but it's just like let's read the over the top comments. That doesn't encourage you. Please do not just go over the top in the comments. I'm looking at you, Melvin. Melvin's significantly over the top every time he gets in there.
Melvin is the consummate attention seeker.
Yeah, but let's talk about some guys that deserve some attention down the line. What are some of the rumors that are floating around out there in terms of free agent names or anybody out there that you would be interested in? You kind of hit one earlier with that guy that plays out in the West Coast.
Yeah, I mean, as it stands,
coffee something,
Black Rifle Coffee.
Since this is such a fluid situation as far as rumors and speculation, and then teams, I mean, guys landing, it's difficult to pinpoint as we have this conversation because you know, if we had this show yesterday, then it's Dre Greenlaw, for example, and it's Charvarius Ward. You know?
And I think one of those two would have silenced all of the significant.
No, it wouldn't have. You're overpaying for a,
Yeah,
it's all bad.
You're right. I think
there would have been that faction of
Ward would have been an overpay.
But the intelligent Cowboys fan would have been like, "Oh, you absolutely wanted Charvarius."
But guess who's louder?
The minority.
The $35 million for Charvarius Ward is a lot.
It is.
So I think I would consider an overpay, but I think it might have been worth it for a team that needs cornerback help.
Especially after the loss of Jourdan Lewis, it would have supplemented.
It would have been fine to overpay there. But like we talked about earlier, and then you've got $35 million for Dre Greenlaw too. So it ended up being right around the same. I think you can.
Even Justin Fields got a bit of a bag.
A bit of a bag.
Yeah.
What did he?
I'm downplaying this.
He got $40 million.
Two at 40. $20 million average.
Did you see what?
That's why
Daniel Jones.
I was like, go get.
Daniel Jones signed with the Colts for 17.7.
See, and that landed. That didn't land before we started our show.
Yeah, like 17.7 to the Colts. Daniel Jones.
No,
DJ.
I don't know, Jim.
I mean, there are names out there. I mean, how do you guys feel about Stefan Diggs? How do you feel?
Nah,
I think it'd be interesting.
Would that keep you out of wide receiver in the draft?
No, absolutely not. No, it would be.
Let's see what his market.
I think it'd be fun because one, his number is going to be lower than it ever has been.
Yep, coming off that injury.
He was banged up. He didn't have a ton of success in Houston, anyways.
Can I tell you the market?
Oh, it's probably way off because we were looking at Justin Fields was like
6 a year,
4.5.
What?
The market is 14.
It would be so much lower than that. It would
at that number. Gon' get.
Yeah.
What if you could get Stefan Diggs at 8?
No. Health-wise.
What's your number? Everybody has a number, Ted DiBiase. Everybody has a number. Foe.
F-O.
6.
It's somewhere in between there.
6
and 8. I think I'd be okay.
His health, man. I just
see. 6 is not a lot for
you're not
potential
asking him,
starter wide receiver.
That's the thing. You're not asking him to be wide receiver 1. You've got that.
Mm-hmm.
You're asking him to come play with his brother, hopefully, and come play with his brother across the line of scrimmage from him, and be a guy that can be supplemental. You're asking him to be Brandon Cooks.
Earnestly, I would love to see Brandon Cooks back.
Instead of that,
with a new offensive scheme, with a new offensive mind, and using him in the correct
I would agree
way.
with you there.
I would rather take Brandon Cooks.
Okay, so here's
than bring in
question.
Stefan Diggs. I don't get that.
Let's make it a 3-pack.
Okay.
Brandon Cooks, Stefan Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins.
Brandon Cooks.
B. Cooks.
What's your problem with Brandon
Cooks? That
is.
I don't have a problem with Brandon Cooks. I have a problem.
And remember, he had some availability
my problem
things
is
too.
Trying to figure out if Schottenheimer is going to have the same struggle with figuring out how to utilize Brandon Cooks as his predecessor, Mike McCarthy. That's my problem. It's not with Brandon Cooks. It's with the utilization of Brandon Cooks.
And I think that changes.
Because it's not a complete turnover offensively. You got Schottenheimer. And again, we talked about this when Schottenheimer was named head coach.
Yeah.
We don't know what the Schottenheimer's offense looks like. We know what it sounds like because he's answered those questions. Like when I posed the question to him as far as modernizing the offense, we know what it sounds like. But what does it actually look like? And that makes me a little bit nervous. So that's why I would lean maybe toward testing out.
But how did Schottenheimer answer your question about movement on the line?
Oh, it's going to be, it's going to be movement.
See, now we've got some really good comments.
How better to use Brandon Cooks then? Come on, man.
Where was it?
I think with Schottenheimer implementing his new offense, I think that gives Brandon Cooks a better utilization in this offense.
Maybe.
With the movement, with the packages.
That's where I am. Maybe.
I've seen Diggs have success in multiple places.
I would love Brandon Cooks.
I mean, so did Cooks, I guess. You could say the same thing.
I would love Brandon Cooks to stick around on this team if the utilization is going to get us the 1,000-yard possibility of Brandon Cooks. Now, I'm not saying it'll be 2,000-yard receivers because CD's definitely going to get his. But if that's the type of Brandon Cooks that we're getting, and this is no knock to Brandon Cooks because this Brandon Cooks was there last year. Like after he got back from injury, he was there the year before, but just not utilized the right way.
Yeah,
I like what L-Dub says here. Diggs will complain when he's unhabby. I think drama too. You add into the,
you think that goes down though with his brother in the building too? Absolutely. Or maybe it goes up.
It probably goes up.
Maybe one way or the other.
See, then it makes me now you have the D-Hop conversation because D-Hop would be more willing, speculatively speaking, would be more willing to accept the WR2 role over at this point in his career over Stefan. I think Stefan still thinks he's WR1, but he's not.
And Hop and CD would be
I compared CD. It was funny when CD was coming out of Oklahoma. I compared. That was one of the first years I was doing like Cowboys draft coverage. Actually, it was the first year, but I compared him to DeAndre Hopkins. That was my comp to him, and everybody's like, "You're crazy! You're out of your mind! You don't know what the hell you're talking about." He's been better than D-Hop. Like CD's numbers and his impact and everything that he's done from even the prime of D-Hop's career. Go look at the numbers side by side. CD's been better, and I think you could kind of see that now. I don't know if I think D-Hop's on the back end. All three of these guys are on the back end of their career: Diggs, D-Hop, and Cooks. And I'm split even thinking about it because I think each of them brings something different to the offense.
Exactly, that's the chat.
And I think the chat, I'm looking at it too. Everybody's having a debate on this too.
I love it
because I think it's different. With D-Hop, you're going to have a little bit of separation, but you're not going to have the durability. With Diggs, you might have the separation, you might have the durability, but you've got some questions in terms of the recent red flags in terms of health, and then how would he mesh with your team and be a wide receiver too? And with Cooks, we've seen it.
It's utilization.
What are you going to do with it? Yeah. And so I think it's different
play to
for
his
all
strengths?
of those. If we're talking $6 million across the board for all three of those guys, I would probably pick B. Cooks. And I'm not saying I like it. I would get B. Cooks, and then I would spend a high pick on a first round or a second round wide receiver, and that would be my future.
I'm with you.
But I would go get.
I'm not with you.
I would go get.
I'm leaning towards D-Hop.
I don't see.
But
when you look at the film, it is rough.
We got to go,
guys.
guys.
Yeah, we do. We got a draft show coming up after this.
It's rough at times for Cooks, but because of utilization.
It is.
Right.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week to continue talking about it. We'll see if any of these guys are even a possibility or if we're going straight into the draft and maybe the Cowboys.
It'll happen in 4 minutes.
Maybe they should trade up and go into to get Travis Hunter territory so that way they can fill 2 roles at one time. That's a debate we need to have at some point down the line, but not really. All right, for Patrik "No C" Walker, for Josh Rodriguez, Chris Beam in the back, I'm Kyle Youmans. We'll see you next time with more Talkin' Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?